Hi guys, thank you for joining us today in the Modern Men Movement podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to introduce and invite the legend that is Steve Walsh into the studio today. Welcome, Steve.
Yeah, great to be here, Jobber. Good to see you again, mate.
Always, brother.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Well,
Absolutely well.
good.
We don't know about fit and well,
Yeah,
but I'm here,
I'm
brother.
not either, so
I'm here.
don't worry about it, mate. I'm the same.
So, everything all right for Steve today, yeah?
Yeah, good. Yeah. I've just come off the phone to HSBC, but I'm a bit frustrated with coming in here, but just trying to sort some simple thing out. It just didn't kind of go to plan, but I thought it was a scam, but I don't know whether it is or not.
Maybe
when you're giving your
possibly
details
is.
out, oh God. So, I was in a bit of a bad mood this afternoon, but I'm all right now.
Well, I'm glad you're here, mate, if I'm honest.
relaxed
I'm
now.
glad you're here. And you know what, it does get like that. Sometimes it takes something kind of to frazzle your brain a little bit for you to actually realise, it's not as bad as you may seem. And you come in here, get some stuff off your chest, and just we move on from
Well,
it.
yeah, it's nice to kind of, like I said, be here and just share the memories and and have a. Obviously, I know what things are about, so it's quite interesting. I've got my own stories as well, so.
Well, that's
sure
what we're
we'll
here
get
for
into
today,
that.
Steve. So that's a good start that you're kind of aware of what we're all about.
Yeah.
So going back to Steve Walsh as Steve Walsh, as everyone knows Steve Walsh. So what was it like for Steve Walsh growing up? Where did it all start for you? When did you realise that you was able to perform to the level that you did at? How did it all start off for you?
I guess I've got to thank my dad a lot. Really, it goes right back to even when I was a 2-year-old. He had a football team, and me and my sister used to go down and just play around. And I always had a football in me hand, and it was all in the family. And as time grew, my dad and his best mate built a team called London Road Labour Club, which was kind of my dad's best friend's pub, really, where they used to go and have a drink. So we called it London Road Labour Club, and we were started getting beat like 15-0, 16-0. But we grew together and ended up winning a league and things like that. So it started through there. School as well, I played for the school team, and we won things in the end. We won the town cup, and played for Lancashire. Made a few appearances for Lancashire, and I was training twice a week, once in Preston, once in Blackpool, because I played for another team, YMCA, when I was a teenager. So I'd train in Preston first, and then the next night I'd be training in Blackpool, in Lytham YMCA, and I was spotted by Blackpool Football Club, a guy called Jack Chapman, if I remember rightly. Yeah, Jack Chapman. He's passed away now, but nice fella. And they invited me to Blackpool. Alan Ball was the manager then, and Paul Stewart was there. You remember Paul Stewart? He's had his demons, his problems and things. And, I was like training with him. I thought, flipping out, this is unreal, and me and him were youngsters, and we came through the ranks. I was 15 then. And but Blackpool released me completely. I was signed on a non-contract basis in them days, just some kind of affiliation. But then I was released, and I went to 16. Went to Preston for a trial. My hometown team. Obviously, you want to play for your hometown team, but it didn't seem, you didn't even know I was there at this training session. It was just a shambles, the setup there, and albeit Preston was my soul kind of, don't forget I used to go on with my dad on the North End, and I went up there. We got beat 2-1 Leicester this season, and I went up there, and I can still remember where I was stood, and the smell of the smoke, the pies and the caps. It was amazing. So that was my love, was Preston North End. But Blackpool with YMCA, I developed, and then I got an invite to Wigan Athletic after that trial at Preston, and Larry Lloyd was manager, and they signed me on, and within months I was playing at Man City, made my debut, and I never looked back. It was simple as that. I was driven to be a footballer. My mum, I finished school early because I didn't get any qualifications really, and my mum set me up with this upholsterers at that time. There was master upholsterers and a True Line upholstery. I still remember it. I used to go on my bike and do all these jobs. I learned how to do the old school, how you used to do things, stripping chairs and things down it, and sewing all the backs on and nailing things, and then so I'd be training still, but doing work, getting like 24 quid a week, I think it was. I came out with in my packet, and but I was happy with that. I loved lunch times because big pasties and fucking everything like that. But it was great. So and then Wigan, I was travelling. Next door neighbour would sometimes take me on his motorbike and go training after I'd been work, and it was difficult, but I loved football and I wanted to play and make it as a pro. And I knew I was going to be a pro. I just knew it. I knew what was coming. I just felt it. I felt I was good enough, and I had that belief. And then, I was at 17. I played at Main Road, which is Etihad now, obviously. And we lost in the Milk Cup, so we lost 2-0, I think. But I had a great game against this big £1 million player who just signed. I forget his name now. Was it David Reeves or someone? Anyway, first £1 million, one of the first £1 million players, I think it was. And I had a stormer, and I never looked back. And then I played for Wigan and made my league debut, and things progressed from there. So it was that's how I got on the
and
professional.
I suppose that as well, Steve, is like it's those first impressions that count. So like say if you've had a stormer against like I say a massive name in the game, then you're going to get recognised initially straight away from that. Really, look who's this guy, Steve Walsh? Look who he's up against. Look what the job he's doing.
I mean, I was helped a lot because they had lads there who were good lads, and they were like kind of tough. It was some of the things that went on, and obviously I got a lot of red cards in my career. You know that,
absolutely.
But it started there really. The way they taught me, the way I was when I saw things. People put through a door with his fist and fucking things like that, and I was like, geez, I'm only 17. I played against Billy Whitehurst, the big played for who did he play for at the time? He was Bradford, I think, and then he played for Hull City. A big tank, he was an animal, and played against him. And the first time he just headbutted me the ball 70 yards away. I'm 17-year-old, gone down on one knee, blood pissing out my nose, and I thought, I'm one of them people, you give it me, I'll give it you back. So I chased him around the pitch, never got him. But it was, that's where it all started. And all this, you can probably see where I get my red cards from. But we played Hull City, played Bradford away. Oh, it was Hull City, I think, later in a few years, and played against him. At Boothbury Park it was. Is that what it was? Yeah. And I remember because the bus goes right next to the dressing room. So we went in, we started the game. 20 minutes, I've elbowed him right in his nose. And if you see him now, his nose is like that. It's a mess. And I was fucking happy with myself. I thought I got him back. And he chased me round the pitch then, threatening me in the bar. Oh, I'll have you in the bar and everything. And I remember going in the bar and I thought, flipping heck, do I get on the bus? It's only there, or do I get in the bar? I was shitting it, and but I stood next to Graham Barrow, and my mate was there, an ex-para, so I thought I should be pretty safe there. And he came over, did big Billy Whitehurst. He came over to me, and I could, when someone's walking across the room, and I'm
feel the presence.
I could feel him, yeah. And anyway, he just turned me my shoulder, and he slammed his Newcastle Brown and brandy he had, Newcastle Brown on the bar. He said, "What do you want to drink, young man?" So that was it.
Fear over.
So that's how it was. You just get on with it.
But that's how it used to be. And
it was.
And for me, that's how it still should be. Unfortunately, it's not gone like that anymore.
Yeah, there was a lot of things, and I was. Yeah, I suppose I was a bit of an animal on the pitch, but
you cost me a few quid. I ain't gonna lie. Do you know what I mean?
Like, you must have won a few quid on me because I scored a few.
Because it's not one of the goals I used to put money on. It was you getting sent off.
Oh, I'm sent off. Yeah.
So I always used to have money on you getting
British
sent
record
off.
holder even now.
But you see,
proud of it.
It wasn't always the violent side of Steve. It wasn't always. It was a lot of it was passion.
You
could see that you were
so
passionate about what he was.
Losing. I didn't.
Club captain. Do you know what I mean? You had to stand up for what you believed in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you did that. Like I say, it cost you a few quid in the end, but I suppose.
Yeah, it did. It cost me a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, when you look at my first red card, because we may as well just talk about them while we're
that's fine, mate.
25,000 that cost me, and in 1986. Yeah, 1986 against David Geddes. First time I'd played, and we were, it was like I'd only just made my debut for Leicester. We'll talk about coming to Leicester.
That's fine, mate.
But my last one cost me 60 grand. So, and that was against Chelsea. So, obviously, both stories are different, but you know, I couldn't pay the 25 grand. I was on, you know, my contract. I was given, I can still remember my first contract, £300 a week and £3 grand signing on fee, 4-year contract. So 300, 350, 400, 450, plus £3 grand each year. So that's 12 grand signing on fee. So I hadn't got the money to pay directly that much money, you know. So obviously when I went to the FA, that was the agreement. I go down. He just said he was sucking a drink out of a straw, you know, because I chatted all his Joe David Geddes, but he'd done me 3 times. I got no protection from the referee, and because I said to the ref, if he does that again, he's going to get it, you know, and he did it again, and the referee just laughed. It's unbelievable. So I was fuming, you know, and I just see him come in, ball's there, bang. You know, he's gone down, his teeth come out, fucking everything. It was a bad one. I didn't mean to do that bad.
No, and I'm sure you didn't.
No,
obviously, it's just
but
that
it was, and that's what it was. And you know, still, but all the other sendings off were.
So when you say your last one was £60,000,
60 grand, yeah. Well,
so
that was
£60,000 for what?
So 60 grand, yeah, not direct out of my ways. It was because we qualified for Europe. It was against Chelsea away. There was an incident with Dennis Wise. Oh, it's Chris Sutton, that's it.
An incident with Dennis Wise.
Sorry, Wise was kind
Yeah.
of part of, yeah. But it was Chris Sutton, you know, who'd kind of done Matt Elliott at Blackburn, and I just remember it. And he was like nipping me from behind us, and again, Sky cameras were there. They all with him straight off. And so 60 grand would have been 2 weeks' wages, because that's what the maximum you could get. And I was on at the end of my contract. So my last contract, I was on £5 grand a week. So, you know, I'm playing next to Muzzy and Matt Elliott and all these 30-odd grand a week, and I'm a £5 grand a week captain. It's just because of my injuries, I couldn't get a contract that I couldn't.
I never realised that's how it worked.
I was always finished. I was nearly finished when I was 25, 26 with my knees. So I couldn't get, you know, good contract. And so 60 grand. So we qualified for Europe, didn't we, by winning the Worthington Cup on year 2000 against Tranmere. So, you know, that was disappointing because really, you know, I'd got us there. A lot of goals, Fulham. You know, I remember some goals leading up to that where I was important all the way. And then, you know, I got sent off, but I wasn't told before the game that, or none of us were, by Martin. Martin O'Neill came in at Chelsea, said, fucking hell, I should have at least said something, you know, and he was blaming himself, and I blamed myself. Obviously, you can't, my actions were wrong. So it all equated, because you know, you get paid pro rata, you know. I think Kevin Poole got the most money out of everyone from sitting on the bench at one of the final. I know that, yeah.
It's crazy. Like, as an outsider, obviously, as a big football fan, it's interesting to hear your story, because obviously we only know what we see. Obviously, we don't know any more than that. And I suppose it's like anything. I suppose it's like anything in life. Unless somebody actually opens their mouth and speaks, we don't know nothing. And it goes down to obviously the reason we're here as well. Like without somebody opening their mouth and telling somebody what's really going on, we just presume or we guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're good at guessing.
Yeah, I was watching some things and listening to Martin O'Neill on Sky. You know, he's on there a bit at the minute, and they were talking about some red cards, and if he could remember any. I thought he would have brought a couple of mine up, but he didn't. He had mentioned Lennon and someone else, but you know. And they were saying, how does it work and how does it operate, you know, and I can just remember him, you know, there was one sending off where he's, you know, so I'd get done a week's wages, so he'd ask me, and when he'd settled down, because Martin, he'd never talked to you for 2 days after a defeat, and what he'd do, he'd get me in his room, then he'd go mad, and then he'd say, right, bring you know, £1,000 in for Sheila, the washwoman, and bring 750 quid in for Macca, you know, and just do it that way. And I can just remember Andy Neville, the secretary, coming down, Martin, you can't do that. You can't give them, you know, these payments and stuff like that. But Martin, get on with it.
He just made his own rules.
But that was his way of, you know, and I can understand that. You know, they're the ones who mean a lot to the club as well. You know, these people.
Sheila's not long past her. She's gone now.
Dilly's gone.
Macca's still there.
Macca's still there. He's still there. Yeah.
Probably 30 years.
Seen a lot of managers come through.
Absolutely, yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, I speak to him quite a bit. I meet him a few times, and so look, you know, like I say, so that my career as a whole, when I came to Leicester, I had a broken leg the year before. And not a lot of people really know that, so I was struggling that first year, you know. But I'd started, and we won games against Liverpool, 2-1 at home, We beat Forest, I think it was, and we drew with Man United 0-0. I remember these games that I first played for Leicester. It was amazing because all I wanted to do was play at the top level. That's all I wanted. I didn't want anything else. Well, I wasn't bothered how much money, anything. Didn't want money. It was just to be playing at the top level.
And I can appreciate that.
It was the old, it was the first division, the Premier League, the old first division. So, yeah, and I just loved that I got the opportunity in Leicester. Like I say, my dad, he was at British Aerospace for 55 years. You think, flipping heck, he only had 13 weeks off in all that time. And so his loyalties, and that's where I got my loyalties. So I ended up staying at Leicester 15 years, a long time.
And I can, like I say, going back to that, I can appreciate that as well, because obviously my football career ended very, very, very young. So it's not on the same scale as what you was at. But I remember I saved the penalty. I was playing for Leicester. I was playing for Leicester boys actually in the school boys. Yeah. And I saved the penalty, but the result of that, I got a broken wrist. Right. But I was just getting scouted at the time, and I wanted to play. I wanted to play regardless.
You've got to play with it, Jobber. You see, and play with a broken wrist. I played with a broken, shattered hand.
I remember
8 games.
I remember.
I was made to play them. To be honest with you, I'm joking, by the way. But I did. I shattered me. When we'll talk about injuries and stuff. Can you finish your story and then I'll.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So basically,
I'm jumping in.
It's all right. It's fine. That's what it's about, mate. So I literally broke my wrist, but the guy at the time who was the other goalkeeper, his dad was the physio, so he was always golden boy. Do you know what I mean? I've got nothing against him. He was a lovely lad, lovely family. But when I'm 15, 16, trying to make a career for myself, and I'm getting an injury, I want to play. Regardless, I want to play. So I'm strapped up and I'm playing. It ended my career very, very early. Yeah. Which also sent my head going wonky, which also where the drinking kind of got worse at an early age. Yeah. Because I knew where I wanted to be. I didn't do very well in school because my focus was football. Yeah. And I know you just said, no, you came out of school with no grades. You went straight into the upholstery. Yeah, that's because when you're a young kid and you've got a vision, that's your only vision you have. And we have no plan B at the time.
No, it's true.
I never had a plan B. Yeah, my plan A wasn't great, but my plan B didn't exist.
Yeah, there was not many options in my days for, the program that we run now, me and Muzzy, this BTEC program, where it's a football education program. There was nothing like that ever. Like I say, my mum, just forced me to go and do this upholstery job. But it was also, I laid floors in hospitals, and there were many a times, 11 o'clock at night, I'm still work all the way through. You're on your hands and knees, I never used to wear knee pads, and probably that's why my knees are knackered now. But, you did it, and 24 quid you were earning then, which I suppose was... it was crap money then, but it was a wage, and my mum got me working, and that's what the ethic that a lot of people don't have. There's a lot of laziness I see in a lot of kids these days, and you were just thrown out there. And obviously times are different. You go down the park every day I'd play every sport going. But I was competitive, and I hated losing, and all this thing about the FA, about shaking hands and that. I was fucking shaking hands. I will now, but I wasn't having that. It was just
different mentality.
Different mentality. I hated it. So I play a game of chess or something. I remember playing a game of Monopoly with my mate. And because I was losing, I go to toilet. I just fucking knocked the lot over. It's like, silly things like that because I just hated.
It's not silly because it's competitive.
Well, it is.
And when you're in the position you was in that competitive manner, like say whether it's a game of tiddlywinks or whether it's betting on two flies on a toilet seat, like you're doing everything competitive. Yeah. So I understand that. Now. Yeah. But when you've got it in you, that's in you.
Yeah, Muzzy beats me a lot of sports now, but he's genuinely his technique and his his athleticism, but still I keep trying. I might beat him at pool now and again, and that's it. But no, it's born in me, and I think that most winners have got that inside them. They've got that winning mentality, and against all odds, this is what I was good at when I was installed as captain, and there was never, in my days, we were going to be defeated by anyone, and if we did, we'd go down fighting. And this is why, I look back and think that's where I was. That was my strengths. A lot of my strengths were mental strengths. You'll be 3-0 down, we come back, but there's sometimes when you can't, and you're beaten by a better team, and 6-0, 7. I remember 7 sometimes. Yeah. Once I'm sure it's 7 or 6 at Newcastle Wednesday. Newcastle 7. Yeah. And I scored 1 goal, but he played me up front in that game, and I was needed at the back. I'm thinking, I was flipping 6-0 down at half time. And I
then
came out and scored, and they were singing my name every time Newcastle fans came to Leicester. They'd sing my name every time.
I remember we played Newcastle, and then you scored. Then you scored an own goal.
That's it.
Last game of the season.
I was talking to John Hutchinson yesterday actually, because I'm doing a bit for the program, for the Blackburn game for the program, and he mentioned that game, and but what people don't know is that I did score the equaliser, but. It was a massive game, that was, for them.
Huge.
Especially.
Yeah.
And us, because we could have gone straight. I think was it one of the games, we had 2 games left, Charlton and Newcastle. If we'd have won them both, we would have gone straight up. That's right. And we lost them both, you see, ended up in the playoffs. But that game against Newcastle, I just remember the ball coming over, the own goal. I scored about 2 or 3 own goals, I think, for Leicester. But that was me like kind of killer, because but I blame the key. Carl Mulligan came racing off his line. I'm looking at the ball, and there he's right in front of me. I've just like touched it. It's gone fucking over. It
happens.
And then, but the game ended. I didn't realise it had ended. I'm waiting for everyone to get off the pitch. It was mobbed.
Yeah.
But the whistle had gone.
It's one of them games that stick out for me.
Didn't even know.
Quite prominently.
And me.
So just in that game alone, if we move on from that, so like obviously to score the equaliser in such an important game. And then to score the own. Surely you've gone from you've gone from hero to zero.
Yeah.
This is football. In some respects.
Is football. There's so many highs and so many lows, and.
But that's life in general, Steve, as well, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah, and it's how you deal with them. And I wasn't good at dealing with, if I had a bad game, it had gone for like 4 or 5 games before I came out of it, because I'm that deeply involved in my mind, thinking, overthinking. I could never sleep before games, ever. Could never sleep. Dreaming about scoring the winner, which now and again, that was 2 nights before, you know what I mean? So it was like, but that's all I was thinking about. I'd be thinking about how I was going to play and how I was going to score, and that's what I was thinking about.
So it was like a manifestation of what was coming.
Oh, yeah.
And I suppose 9 times out of 10, that actually didn't even happen. Do you know what I mean?
No. But it did. It did a lot.
Because
it gave me, honestly, when I went on that pitch, I knew I was going to score goals. Nothing was going to, I'd beat anyone in the air if the ball was just put in there,
So where was the turning point in, obviously club captain, playing at the back, where he was absolutely amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
And then you got switched to playing up front.
Well, I always trained up front. I didn't like training I hated it. Just like scoring goals, Me and Marshy, Brian Little, he liked a big striker and a small striker, and that worked really well in training. Me and him played up front. Brian Little trained, and that, I think that's where he got that from. Brian did. But I'd always trained up front. I just loved it, and then I created like speedy, tall, small, Joachim, same,
David
and
Lowe.
It worked effective, David Lowe. So there was partners that were, and I think it still works quite well if you've got that right. But like I say, it was great to be given that chance. But I was a defender. I got 2 red cards in a week, and Brian Little stripped me of the captaincy. So, and I don't think he should have done that, to be fair, but he did, and I missed like kind of lifting one of the cups somewhere anyway. We won a playoff or something, and I wasn't captain. Derby, was it? Yeah, it must have been. Simon Grayson lifted it. That was wrong. That was wrong for me.
That must have been for your confidence, for your team morale. That must have been an absolute kick in the teeth, if you want to call it.
It was the lowest kind of thing for me, I suppose. But I won't listen. I get on with it, But deep down, it did.
Of course, and that's the point I was getting at. So, so was that one of your all-time lows within the football?
No, not really. No, that wasn't. That was nothing. For me, there's flipping out lows. God, injuries. God, there's just so many things in my life. It's a roller coaster.
But life is a roller coaster.
Yeah,
it
is. Yeah.
So what would you say that if you had to pinpoint an all-time low within your career and within life in general, Steve? It doesn't have to be around football. It can just be you as a person.
Yeah, I think obviously, when I was a footballer, I think that losing games was enough, because I hated that. I took it real personal, and I think I was just too deep of a person, and it really hurt me, but the injuries and the games I was missing through bad injuries, not just 26 operations, and broken bones and all this screws and things, and them lonely times that you've got because you're just an outcast, you're no one then.
You're a number in the system.
Yeah, you just God's trainer, and you're like, no one fucking talks to you. Right? Well, they do talk to you, but it's just like passing, in the wind. It was so. Look, when I look back and I had those injuries, we were talking about that hand injury and the difference with me. When I remember away at Crystal Palace, we needed 2 games to win. We beat Charlton on a Tuesday night and we won 1-0, and we beat Palace 1-0 on the Saturday. If we hadn't won them, we wouldn't have got in the playoffs. And away at Palace, Hopkins, I remember, and shattered me hand. I had a big run in with him, to be honest with you, and he just crossed the ball and it just shattered all the thumb joint. And even now, when I just put my hand down, it just dislocates. And you see, I've got tattoos there that covers it. They brought all the sin. So 12 o'clock at night, I'm in Beauport at Leicester, and they're just the doctor came and said, look, I don't know how we're going to repair this. It's that mess, so we taped it up, and I went home and I knew that I had to have surgery, quite soon. Martin wouldn't let me have it. We've got about 5 games left before we play, and then we got Palace in the final again. So, I got Hopkins back again in that tackle, and everyone kind of
destroyed.
Yeah, so it was great, and I kind of wasn't, you get on with it, don't you? It hurt me a few times when I got down, but
and I think that's a key thing to say, Steve. I think as men, as people, we just get on with it.
Yeah, you
mean,
do,
like,
and that's
we don't.
The thing. I
We
mean,
try not to let it phase us.
Yeah.
It just is like, let's move on from it, which is not always that easy, because like you say, that sticks very, very in the forefront of your mind. That's one of them things that you remember that was a low for you, and obviously it sticks quite prominent.
Yeah, and I think where I learned a lot was but now would be a safeguarding issue. I remember Larry Lloyd putting me against the wall, and I was only 17, 18. I think I'd gone in goal for some reason because the keeper got injured. And I remember giving this goal away. I thought, oh God! And he strung me up against the wall. These are the things that happen. You're insulted a lot, but you just stick with normal then. And obviously now I understand.
That's the problem.
I understand there's a
normal.
barrier now, and there's a lot of things going on in the world that are wrong. And and safeguarding now is it is very it's vital in anything going forward, and I've noticed since I've done all my coaching badges, a few of my coaching badges, and the safeguarding, the first aid and things like this, and what kids are going through mentally, what happened at school, because something happened to my lad the other week, and even though I'm I'm a safeguarding officer for our alternative provision, I'd had enough, and I went in to see the safeguarding. I didn't seem to be doing too much at the school, and so in the end I said to Zaki, you're gonna have to stand up yourself at some point, because that's what happened to me. I remember it. Give him a clip, and but you can't say that to him.
No, and we realise that.
I knew,
and we don't realise how damaging.
Yeah,
that
but
can
I got angry,
be.
I said, well, give him a fucking clip then, and it'll sort it out. And obviously, I took it back. Said, look, mate, the best thing, walk away. There's no point, because then you'll get because somebody else will come do it like a gang, and it's not right. But I just got that wound up, and in the moment, had said that I was wrong. And said to him, this is the way, but then told him the proper way. But if in our day, that's where it was. And that's,
get on with it.
I remember my dad chasing me upstairs with a belt, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, you'd be jailed.
Oh, you would be jailed, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
100%. And times do change.
So obviously, I think you can go back into, when they go back in time and start doing people, I think you've got to put a barrier with whatever it is. And I mean, the other things, there's some that are beyond, we know what other things go on in the world, and there's bad things that happen, and that's why your family, you steer your kids away from dangers, and you try and protect them the best you can. And it's a little bit different. I'm still stuck a little bit in the old ways, but I think if you merge the new and the old, then you'd have the ideal, especially in football, in all things that happen inside the dressing room. I think there's obviously now with football, how it's moved on is incredible, but I still believe that there's things in the old day and the new that could merge together. Like simple things like, like sometimes I watch Leicester, we're still playing out from the back and we're 2-0 down. I'm thinking, God, just shove someone up front for God's sake.
That makes sense.
And try it and do it, and it will, you'll be surprised. And,
when I was
might
playing,
take some teams by surprise, but they don't know how to do it. And now you're just taught, football, like I say, it's incredible. The speed of the footballs,
the science behind
the science behind it is incredible. The analysts, and it's all about mileage and red zones and things like this.
Yeah, it's not even about football anymore. It seems
No,
a
it's
lot
not.
of it's about the
No.
statistical and the science side of it, and what the body
And see,
does.
I'm going through. I'm prepared to tell. I've not told anybody this yet, but I've been to London for a brain scan, and they found 14 significant changes in my brain in this scan. It was on the scan was unreal. So I went down on the train to London, had this scan, Jesus, and I'm in this thing, this support thing, and it was about an hour and a quarter. I was a proper scan. So it came back, and I spoke to a neurologist last week. So it's only new. People can find out. I'm not bothered really. But it's gonna. I'm gonna have an effect with the CTE, they call it. I think it is at some point. So I'm showing a lot of signs, with that, because I can't sleep at night, and it's just, I've always been a bad sleeper, but now I cannot get to sleep. It's so bad. And little things like that. I'm thinking, is it this? Is it my head? With the
is
problems
that through
I've got,
constant
headaches.
heading the ball? Is that
Well,
all down to that?
so that's what I was coming down to, because when at Wigan, when I was there after training, every day, 50 balls from 80 yards away was the keeper would kick it from his goal line, and I had to go and head it every day. Harry McNally, I remember him just telling me, come and fucking head it. And you think of all the headings, the bit of concussions that I've had, and so it's all kind of starting to. But I thought I'm going to have this scan, but I'm in a mediocre towards other people. There's other people that a lot worse. So, but I'm going to experience these things. I'm starting to experience quite a lot. I'm noticing. I'm starting to like put things somewhere. Fucking stupid, and it's really weird. And I forget certain things, and I can't think of my best mate's name just for a few minutes, and then I get it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
But it's all right. You're saying there's people out there that are worse off. Yes, there are. But at the time when that's happening, it's still you that's important. You've still got to keep yourself safe. You've still got to keep your own mental state intact.
Oh yeah, and it's hard battling.
And
with
it is
that.
hard when people are
Do you know what?
struggling.
Since and I'm going to give a big example of this. This is when you ask me about the worst thing that's ever happened. The worst thing that ever happened was leaving Leicester, right? And this is what's done me. Where a manager, Peter Taylor, has come into that club and he destroyed the club, systematically destroyed that football club, but he took out first me, Tony Cottee. He took out Stan first, took out Tony Cottee, and then me. 3 big influences in that dressing room. Then the lads needed us. But Taylor, like I say, I remember him phoning me on a Friday night. I'm in a pub somewhere in the Midland, crying my eyes out. And it's like, fucking, how can someone come in and just end your career like that? Offered me to Wolves, offered me to someone else in training every day. I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? I said, I'm not going anywhere. I've got another year left. Martin O'Neill left me he walked out that day to Celtic, and he left me. He said, Walsh, I've just given you a new contract. And he just went, and that was it. So they were great of him to do that. That's what he thought.
It shows respect.
So yeah, and then I've got this year, and then I didn't take up that. I should have just stayed. But thinking back in hindsight, I should have stayed, because Taylor was, but when he rung me on a Friday night, because I said, no, fuck it, I'm not going. And he said, I'll offer you some more money then to go. And that's how desperate they were to get me out of the club. For what? That dressing room needed me, and he didn't see it. It's stupid. And that has done me, over the years.
I can see
and
it in your face,
Steve,
the way you're telling the story.
If I ever walked into fucking seeing him again, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know what I'd do, but you know what? It does. It hurts. It hurts me, and it still does to this day. It kills me. Yeah,
I can see that, mate. Honestly,
Yeah.
like you see the passion in your face, and it is the fact that a man that don't really know anything about you is prepared to end your career without even discussing it with you.
And you know when you go into your health, your mental health especially, it's difficult to kind of come to terms with some things, and and I think at least I've identified where it is now, and I know it is. I just know it is, and it's fucking horrible. But
so what's your take on, like? Obviously, you just spoke to me about an absolute privilege that you have, because to see that raw emotion in someone that I respect
I'm honest,
so much.
I'm open.
It's the best way to be now, and I understand that, because I have to do the same.
Yeah.
But has there ever been like times in the past where it's kind of come to the forefront of your mind on a regular basis that it's kind of affected your mental state, or you affected your day to day?
Yeah, I think
goes.
Since that moment, my life's changed. Yeah, definitely. I think in everything I do. Yeah. So I think it all relates to that, because don't forget, all I wanted to do was play football. Everything's done for you. Everything. You know, when you finish, that day that comes to an end, you know, it didn't end in the right way. And that's why your mental health is affected, because it should have been, right, why don't you come on board and be a coach? Why don't you come and, you know, you're a big influence in that dressing room. You know, you can, and I could have really got some results out of them lads if I was just part of being in the dressing room.
Yeah, give it a chance,
because that's where my skills were. You know, and
that's apparent.
And
always was apparent from an outsider's point of view. That was always apparent.
So I kind of deal with things on a day to day, but your life just from that day, it kind of like I said to you, you know, your dentist, everything, your doctors, and then suddenly bang. You stop. So I suppose coming to the end as well. So it's all impacted. I'd got divorced as well. All impacted. All of this. I'm going to Norwich on a train. Don't even want to be in a fucking train going to Norwich. You know, I didn't want to be there. I give them the money back. You know, signed a 2-year contract, give it them fucking back, and just said I can't handle that.
Yeah. And it's weird where your mind will take you. I always think that your mind's really strong or really weak, and I find there's
I'm big, strong, Walshy, fucking but deep
that's
down,
a perception.
Mate,
that's a perception from an outside point of view. Big, strong Walshy, you've hit it perfect.
Oh yeah.
But how big and strong is Walshy really?
That's it. Yeah, and you've got feelings. You've got.
Of course you have. You're a human being. We have emotions. We have thoughts. We have feelings. From an outsider's point of view, they don't see that.
No one sees it. Yeah, I know, and I'm dealing with it. I suffered quite a lot. Depression, you know, that's hit me quite apparent now. You know, I'm on medication for that. So there's been a few things in the onset of things. So, like I say, I'm not too bothered about things now. I just get on with life and you know, try and make the most out of what I can do now. And you know, like I say, I think, you know, everything impacted in the year 2001 for me. And, you know, from the divorce, from the leaving Leicester, from, you know, the financial situation I had this tax thing that all the footballers had, took me to my fucking knees, you know. And, you've got to fucking come back, haven't you? And,
it's like get on with it. But it's not that easy.
No, it's not. Not at all. No.
So if I could ask you, Steve, if you could speak to your former self, or if you could speak to anybody else that's struggling, or the youth of today that are coming through, what would your piece of advice be for that one individual person to make them feel in a better state of mind, or something they could put in place for them to move forward?
It's not an easy kind of answer, but I guess the most, you know, the best advice I could ever give is not to overthink things, not to get too deep and involved in situations. Let things go, you know, because I was one of them people, even if I had an argument, you know, it lasts fucking 2 weeks till I haven't come out of it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, so I was a bit different than a lot of people. So I think the main thing is obviously, you know, and look at life differently, and with the happier things, and the, you know, smile on your face. And you know, the confidence and all these things, you know, I did one mental health thing, and I just said, look, I can tell in a room who's sad and who's happy, but why are you being sad? What about, you know, when you think, what's life about? You've got to enjoy yourself, enjoy this life. And so it's kind of, you know, like I say, a lot of people are different. They've got different emotions, and it's easy to say that, but it could help in a little bit of somewhere, and that's all
it needs.
That's all it needs.
A little bit of hope.
You know, I'm on a chat on a Wigan Athletic chat, and there was an alarming message from Tony Kelly, his next colleague of mine. This was only 3 days ago, and he put, "I'm all alone in my house," and all them people called him fat, because he was quite chunky when he was footballer. I remember the coaches telling me I was fat, and I thought he needs help now. So there was someone on there who was a PFA member, Bailey, he used to play for Wigan, and he's still working for PFA, stepped in, and you see him now smiling and happy this morning, and he's got through that little moment, but he just shows you, doesn't it?
And it only takes that one person to step in.
That scared me a little bit.
Because what does happen too often, Steve, is you'd read it, I'd read it, I'd expect you to help him, you're expecting me to
I knew
help
straight
him,
away.
and before we know it, nobody's helping him.
Yeah.
So it's good that somebody did step in.
But I called him Tony Belly. Because just because his name was Tony Kelly, so I nearly sent that to him just for a bit of laugh,
but you don't
just to bring it out.
But we don't realise
really,
the impact
he might have been thinking that.
Of course, and that's what I'm saying. It's the impact it has.
See,
that we don't
you
even
don't
realise.
understand what people are thinking. Yeah, no, and,
we don't know what people are going
through. That's why a lot of people. It's coming out now, mental health, but it was always there. Of course, it was. And now we just know what it properly is, what it is.
It was just suppressed by other things.
Yeah,
Men didn't know how to show emotion.
No, that's it.
And they weren't allowed to show emotion.
No.
Because then it became a weakness.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, that's not the truth. Do you know what I mean? Like, we know now that it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to have a man stand by a man. It's okay to do that.
Yeah.
But that was never the case before.
No, exactly.
But thank God it is today, Steve. So
well, that's it.
I'd like to knock it on the head there.
Oh, right.
And I thank you so much for coming in to speak
no
to me
worries,
today.
mate.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been good to see you again. And glad to see you doing
thank you.
well.
Keep doing what you're doing, mate.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm
thank
doing
you
well.
very much. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.